Vampire movies have always had a unique way of blending horror, mystique, and often a touch of romance or tragedy. 2024 saw a fresh batch of vampire films with different takes on the genre, from high-concept thrillers to quirky genre-bending narratives. Some of these films might have flown under the radar for many, but if you're a fan of dark, twisted stories, you're going to want to check them out. Welcome back to your nerdy show. I'm your host, Spoiler Master. Let's dive into some of the top vampire films of 2024 that you might have missed.
Turn into a vampire?
Maybe.
Nosferatu, a reimagining of the classic 1922 silent film, takes its audience back to the eerie, fog-filled streets of 19th century Europe. The story follows Thomas Hutter, a man who travels to Transylvania to sell a mansion to Count Orlok, a mysterious figure with an unsettling interest in Hutter's wife, Ellen. As Thomas unwittingly becomes entangled in Orlok's sinister plans, he discovers the true nature of the Count, a creature of the night, a vampire whose only goal is to spread plague and darkness. The film's tension heightens when Ellen learns that Orlok needs her submission to complete his dark ritual. In a final act of self-sacrifice, she lures Orlok to her bedroom, offering herself to him as dawn approaches and ultimately killing the vampire. The imagery is haunting, with some stunning, atmospheric cinematography that harkens back to the 1920s era of German Expressionism. It's an eerie, melancholic take on the vampire legend that truly captures the sense of dread, with the added twist of how the plague is linked to Orlok's destructive nature.
Where are you? Answer me.
Salem's Lot. Stephen King's Salem's Lot has been adapted multiple times, but 2024's version stands out due to its layered narrative and its faithful approach to King's original themes. The film follows writer Ben Mears, who returns to the town of Jerusalem's Lot, only to find it under the sway of vampires. As he reconnects with old friends and tries to uncover the truth, he discovers that antique dealer Straker and his master, the ancient vampire Kurt Barlow, have come to town, bringing death and destruction in their wake. This adaptation doesn't shy away from the horror. The filmmakers capture the town's descent into terror as the vampire influence spreads. Ben, with the help of a few survivors, embarks on a dangerous mission to destroy Barlow and the vampire horde. The film expertly builds tension and slowly unravels the mystery behind Barlow's rise, offering an incredibly satisfying and horrifying conclusion. The small-town setting is perfect for this story, and the slow burn of the film allows for both chilling moments and deeper emotional beats. Abigail takes the vampire genre in a very different direction, blending crime drama and supernatural horror. The story revolves around Abigail, a centuries-old vampire who orchestrates her own kidnapping to exact revenge on a group of criminals who wronged her father, the feared crime lord Christophe Lazar. Unbeknownst to her captors, Abigail is not just any woman, but a ruthless and powerful vampire. The criminals, who initially planned to hold Abigail for ransom, are quickly outmatched by her vampiric abilities as she systematically hunts them down one by one. The real twist comes when Abigail's motivations become clear. She doesn't just want revenge, but also to prove herself worthy of her father's approval. As the tension rises and alliances shift, Abigail's relationship with the criminals becomes more complicated, with some of them even embracing vampirism to fight back. The film is an emotional and bloody ride, with Abigail's struggle for love and recognition adding layers to her character.
What do we know about vampires?
Isn't there some sort of rule that they can't come inside unless they're...
Slay, a unique addition to the vampire genre, Slay combines horror, comedy, and the world of drag performances. The story follows Mama Souffle and her drag family, Robin Banks, Olive Wood, and Bella Dawboys, as they travel the country in their pink RV. They accidentally book a show at a rundown dive bar in the middle of nowhere, but things take a turn when a man, after being bitten by another vampire, begins spreading the infection. As the infected begin to swarm, the drag family must use their wits, creativity, and a whole lot of fabulous flair to fight back. The mix of humor and high-stakes horror makes Slay a wild, entertaining ride. The film isn't just about fighting vampires. It's about embracing individuality, coming together as a chosen family, and overcoming seemingly insurmountable odds with style. It's a fresh and fun take on the vampire genre, proving that you can balance horror with humor and still keep things tense and thrilling.
Ready for anyone who dares help themselves first!
The Radleys. The Radleys is a quiet, unsettling exploration of what it means to live as a vampire in the modern world. Helen and Peter Radley are vampires who have chosen to abstain from drinking blood, living a quiet, normal life with their 2 teenage children. However, the children's growing bloodlust becomes harder to control, and soon their carefully constructed life begins to unravel. The family's secret is exposed, and they are forced to confront the darker, more primal parts of their nature. What makes the Radleys stand out is its approach to vampire mythology. Instead of glorifying immortality or bloodlust, it focuses on the complexities of family dynamics. The Radleys struggle not only with their nature, but also with the challenges of raising 2 children on the brink of becoming what they fear. When Peter's brother, Will, a vampire who fully embraces his instincts, reappears, the tension escalates, creating an emotional and high-stakes situation. The film explores survival, morality, and the sacrifices parents make for their children, all while dealing with the supernatural chaos that threatens to destroy everything they hold dear.
Do you like watching me undress?
How did you get in here?
The Vampire Next Door. This film presents a modern twist on vampire lore, following a teenager named Cameron who finds himself caught between his boring suburban life and the mysterious world of vampires. The film starts with Cameron having a strange dream about Diane, a girl he is drawn to, but soon it becomes clear that his life is being subtly influenced by darker forces. When he meets Diane in real life, he discovers she has a much bigger secret than he ever imagined. Diane is a vampire, and her arrival in his life pulls him into a world of danger, deception, and bloodlust. The Vampire Next Door isn't just another teen vampire story. It's about navigating the transition into adulthood and understanding the darker aspects of human nature. It plays with the traditional vampire narrative by blending it with coming-of-age elements, creating a film that feels fresh and poignant while still delivering on the supernatural thrills. As Cameron becomes more entangled in Diane's world, he has to make choices that will change his life forever. Vampiras. The Bride set in 2 time periods. Vampiras. The Bride weaves a complex narrative of betrayal, lost memories, and the consequences of immortality. In 1888, 2 vampire sisters, Luna and Adriana, betray Dracula to help Van Helsing, and they are cursed with their memories erased. In 2022, they live separate lives, Luna as a detective and Adriana as a photographer, unaware of their shared past. Their lives collide when their pasts come back to haunt them, and they must face their role in a larger, supernatural game. While the film's pacing is uneven, with excessive flashbacks and unnecessary scenes, the central story remains engaging. The sisters' journey to rediscover who they truly are and confront the consequences of their choices makes for an interesting exploration of vampire lore. The film takes some risks with its supernatural elements, offering a fresh take on the mythos of vampires and their relationship to power, guilt, and redemption.
Oh, he's out there, son. Waiting for you.
Sunrise Sunrise attempts to merge social commentary with vampire horror, but ultimately falls short. The film explores themes of racism and violence, suggesting that human cruelty can be more terrifying than the supernatural. Guy Pearce plays Reynolds, a bitter, racist villain whose conflict with an immigrant family sets the stage for a blood-soaked revenge story. A vampire named Fallon, who has a personal vendetta against Reynolds, enters the fray, but his character never develops beyond being a brooding, one-dimensional figure. Despite strong performances, particularly from Pearce, Sunrise never fully capitalizes on its themes, resulting in a film that feels sluggish and underdeveloped. The pacing is slow, and while the film offers social commentary, it lacks the nuance needed to make its message resonate. The vampire element feels secondary to the more overt political messages, which ultimately weakens the overall impact of the story.
Here! You ain't welcome here!
Adze the African Vampire. This found footage film brings African mythology to the forefront, blending it with influencer culture and horror. The plot follows BM, a host for the show True Haunting, Prove It, as he invites 3 influencers to help him hunt down an Adze, a supernatural creature from African folklore. What starts as an internet stunt quickly turns into a deadly game of survival as the influencers begin to realize the danger they've put themselves in. While the film has an interesting premise and incorporates African mythology in a new way, it struggles with pacing, with the final moments being the only truly suspenseful part of the film. The characters are not well developed, and some of the performances feel off. Still, the mythology and the unique take on the found footage style make Adze the African Vampire worth a watch for horror fans looking for something different.
Booked the wrong menu. Check out the tray.
Our nerdy thoughts. 2024 gave us a wide range of vampire films, each with its own unique take on the genre. Whether you prefer the classic haunting terror of Nosferatu, the gory horror of Salem's Lot, or something more quirky like Slay, this year's vampire cinema has something for everyone. Some of these films might have flown under your radar, but they're definitely worth checking out for any fan of the supernatural.
No, what the heck, I'll laugh anyway.